welcome everyone to Good Evening Eorzea, your fortnightly Fan Fantasy 14 podcast. After a few weeks of not having much news to go through and basically it being quite a downtime before Shadowbringers, we've still got not a lot of news to go through and a downtime before Shadowbringers. We've just had a little live letter. It was only 3 hours long and 43 pages on a Google Docs to put together, but it's a little bit of information to go through. And to go through it, I need some help. So, Mr. Marfy is on hand, as he always is. Welcome, Mr. Marfy.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, that's just. I can't believe how short that live letter was.
Know. I was really disappointed.
Do you know what would have been nice is if they, I don't know, prolonged it by having a problem with their audio or something would have been nice.
Yeah, like literally they've sent all of the guys that stream computer sound from a computer to a live stream home yesterday, and they could have really used them to make it start on time.
Yes, it would have been
helpful.
Pretty helpful.
Yeah.
I'm glad they got it sorted though, because I really like that background music.
Yeah. The background music really added to the everything.
In all joking aside, though, that the background music was nice and calm and pretty well put together. So
yeah, and in fairness, the background noise was needed when we got the job trailers. But as you can tell, or I hope you can tell, we are being sarcastic. Last night was the letter from Producer Live number 51. It started an hour late due to some technical difficulties. It ran until 1:30 a.m. in the UK, when it was due to run till about 12:30. But yeah, tons of information. It was an amazing live letter. We got so much more details out from it.
And a lot of things confirmed and disproven that were mentioned beforehand. So
yeah, so for those people who don't know, Square Enix had the EU media tour a couple of weeks ago. I want to say it was last weekend, so the 15th, 16th, 17th of May. They've just had the NA media tour, which was the 21st and 22nd and 23rd of May, or maybe the 21st and 22nd. And then the live letter was last night. There's been lots of leaks come out, both on Reddit, 4chan, Pastebin, YouTube. So they have all been coming out, and some of them were correct, some of them weren't. But we've got lots of different information to go through.
Yes, lots and lots and lots and lots.
Yeah, it's all especially as somebody went to sleep for the last hour and a half of it as well.
I had work in the morning, man.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, not the same kind of work, but yes, you did have work, and I'd just like to point out, Oysty's done a fantastic job so far. So kudos to you, my friend, and he's made my life easier, which is even better.
Yes, for those watching the YouTube channel, you will have seen a lot of content going up over the going up over the next 4 to 5 hours.
And what would amaze you all is the fact that I've actually got a video on there as well now.
Well,
Woo!
Yes, you have. You've got your tanking video. And you'll have more content when you get your 8 job videos up as well.
Woo!
Yeah. So, the live letter, Yoshi P, Foxclone, and it was all translated by Amy, not, what's his name? Koji Fox.
Koji. Yeah, Amy did it. Good old Amy.
Yes.
Was you doing something then? You sounded preoccupied.
I got a text message through.
Ah, okay. See, so you keep your head in the game.
No, it's a ridiculous message I've just read, and I can't even bring myself to it. I'm going to have to literally turn my phone onto Do Not Disturb and turn it over so I can't see it.
He's very easily distracted.
Yeah. So the live letter, they went over some details for 5.0 and Shadowbringers. So they went over release date, where we're going, One of the bits of little content that came out was they were saying that there's enough content equivalent to an all-new single-player RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Which,
Yeah, that's pretty mad.
It's a massive amount of content.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, how, that's, what, 70 to 100 hours?
Yeah.
Like, usually?
All told. If you're counting side quests and everything, yeah, all told. So, massive amount of content coming in 5.0.
Yeah, looking forward to
it. 6 new areas. We know 5 of them. Lakeland, Raktika Greatwood, Ilmeg, Amareng, and I still don't know the name of the last one.
The one where the dwarves live?
Yeah. Mount something over.
Mount Dwarf.
Yeah.
That's what we'll call it. Mount Dwarf. I think that's as good as anything. Mount Lalafell Dwarf Oompa Loompas.
Well, you know what's happening here. I'm Googling things live on air.
Yay! It wouldn't be our podcast if you weren't doing that.
No. I really should be more up to date on... Yeah, more prepared.
With this, to be honest, usually I wouldn't give you any leeway, but the fact that we've got this much information to go through, it's all right to be a bit there.
Colusia is the name of the 5th area.
That was it. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, just we still don't know the last area, and they still haven't announced the 6th area yet.
I think it's going to be Palace in the Sky.
Could be anything.
Pretty much.
Could be anything.
It might be the Between Worlds place.
Ooh, yes, that's an idea.
That would be cool. And maybe that's where we pick something up we'll talk about later.
Yeah. New city, Crestarian plus Yulmore, new jobs, new level cap, gameplay adjustments, battle system changes, new items and crafting recipes, Eden, Your Hot Dog Apocalypse, dungeons, Disciple of the Hand and Land, endgame content, Rothgon Vieira, Trust System, New Moon Pixie Beast Tribes, as well as the Dwarfs, which we know of. Titiana and Innocence are confirmed as new powerful fours. So to me, that makes them sound as though they are the equivalent of Ravana and Bismarck and Susano and Lakshmi, in that they're going to be the two leveling trials.
Seems legit.
Yeah, seems like a very sensible,
Well, we're just going on past expansions and stuff, so...
Yeah. Confirmation that the world visit system's still going to be in place, we thought that was going to disappear. End of 32-bit Windows support and support for 64-bit Macs.
Yeah. Big Macs.
Yep. So we'll just literally go through it as the live letter did. Thank you to Shintani, Ven AE, and everyone else who did lots of work on the actual live letter. I'm just trying to find Shintani, Iluna Minori, and Luna as well. Lots of people put lots of effort into pulling everything together for the live letter. So thank you, makes our jobs much easier.
Oh yes.
So, the first thing that they discussed was some just general gameplay adjustments, as well as UI and stuff like that. So, the fate system is changing.
About time. It needed a change, and this is a very good way of doing it. I like it.
Well, they tried changing it in Stormblood by certain fates giving extra XP and certain fates giving you a buff where if you then went and completed another fate you got additional XP on top of that.
Is that with the fairy things, or was that before?
Yes. That was with the Twist of Fate.
Yeah.
That you had to kill while doing the fate as well. Now you're still going to get XP, but you're also going to get additional tokens, and the tokens can be used to buy different things from different vendors.
Yeah, and it also goes in, if you actually do the fates, it gives you a little bit of lore about where they are, the areas.
Yeah, definitely gives you a reason to complete the fates a lot more. Additional requirements, you are going to have to meet additional requirements to unlock certain rewards. So that'll be interesting to find out what they are. They're not tied to the MSQ, but the more fates you complete, the more items you can buy from the store as well.
So, do you think that's going to be like a level thing to get the new fates? Like if you're a certain level, or do you think it's going to be unlocked if you finish a fate, they'll unlock a new fate?
I literally just think it's going to be if you do a fate inside, say, Ilmeg, you'll get some tokens, you can then go and buy stuff from the Ilmeg shop.
No, but I mean like they say like to get more fates, you unlock them, don't you? Is that what they said?
Additional requirements must be met to unlock certain rewards.
Rewards, okay.
So certain things in the shop might require you to, say, complete the fate in a party of 4, complete the fate in under 6 minutes. I don't know.
We'll find out.
Exactly. They then tell us about side quests. So side quests are changing.
Yep. Another good addition.
Yep. Love this change. They're going to be kind of like Beast Drive quests in that they're going to be level synced to whatever level the person who picks the quest up is.
Yeah, it means we're going to have a different option to level.
Yeah, much easier to level all jobs. You're still going to have dungeon roulettes, trial roulettes, dungeons,
deep
all
dungeons.
those types of things, deep dungeons to help level. But this is just something that's going to help you along. So all the 5.0 side quests can be undertaken from level 70 onwards, and the enemies will just be scaled to player level.
Yeah, it's almost like having just loads of different mini story arcs, isn't it, really? But more emphasis on them.
Yeah, and I think it'll get more people to do them, because if you're still going to be getting a decent chunk of XP and it's much easier to get into them, you're more likely to actually do them.
Yeah, definitely.
Then we come to the first bit of new content that they have released.
I'm just catching up. Oh, yes. Role quests.
Yes. So they introduced it by showing a picture of 4 people who some people would recognise, some people won't. The main person I recognise there is Arbit.
Yeah. Yeah, Arbit.
Who is the Warrior of Darkness from 3.4. And he, as we know, is from the first. They were sent to our shard to try and save his shard from a flood of light. Don't think he did a very good job. And
he got beaten up.
Yeah, by us.
By us.
So we're going to retrace their journey. So there's going to be 4 different role quests to go through. There's physical DPS, magical DPS, tank, and healer.
They're also going to do it so that you have to do one to progress with the MSQ, but you don't have to do any more if you don't want to afterwards.
Yes. I can't imagine why you wouldn't.
I think you'll probably get... I don't know, I already am invested in it and I haven't played it yet because I want to see all the trials and tribulations they went through.
Yeah, and I'll be perfectly honest, I just want to see the kind of storylines that they go through, because this is replacing the level 70 to level 80 job quests.
Yeah.
So we wondered how they were going to do the job quests in Shadowbringers, whether or not there was going to be new job trainers on the first who used the same skills as you, or whether or not you would have to hop back to the first in order to do your job quest, which would kind of take you out of the storyline.
Because we were talking about it, weren't we, before?
Yeah. So I think this is there to stop that happening and to give you the alternative of getting your job quests, but in a slightly different way.
Yeah, I think it's a really clever idea, actually.
Yes, most definitely. And Dancer and Gunbreaker, who will start at 60, will still have job quests on the first up to level 70.
Yeah.
Which just makes sense. And then at level 80, all jobs will have a brand new quest. So I'd imagine that once you get to level 80, you will be able to go back to your job trainer, probably is on the first, complete a task, or maybe even on the source or on the first, complete the quest, and that's when you'll get your artifact gear and your level 80 skill.
Yay, artifact gear. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, some of the artifact gear looks amazing. I'm wondering what they're going to do with artifact gear. I'd like to see them expand on what they did in Eureka with it, though.
Oh, you mean like just making it better?
Yeah, I'd just like to see it be proper relic armor. So it's armor that you do...
Is actually worth it in endgame.
Yeah, so it's something that you do continue to help to make better. And yes, I know some people will go, well, that just means that you don't have to do this and you don't have to do that and you don't have to do the high-end raids. And it's like, I don't care. If
you don't pay my sub.
Yeah, but I would happily put time in.
Yeah.
To continue making something better versus trying in a raid to get your drop. Because you're still going to end up at the same endpoint. It's just one person's going to get it through time, the other person's going to get it through...
patience. Patience going through learning all the mechanics and wiping 6 million times. I know some people are really into that stuff and it's part of the process, but, each to their own. The fact that they give you more options is brilliant.
Yeah. And the more options you have, the better the game is, and the more people that's going to likely play the game, because you've got more options to actually go and do the different things.
Yeah. More options are better.
Yep. Crafting and gathering quests, they've been consolidated into 5 sets of quests. So you've got forging, crafting, and nourishment for Disciples of the Hand, and gathering and fishing for Disciples of the Land. I wonder how they split up the Disciples of the Land. Yeah. You're going to progress through the story of the Crystalline Mean, which is located in the Crystarium. And we do see the Crystalline Mean a lot more in the Shadowbringers benchmark trailer.
I haven't watched it.
So, the Shadowbringers benchmark trailer does answer a very, very important question.
Damn it. What is it?
Where are Alpha Noah and Alizé?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, what? Look, it's been a busy day.
Do you want to know how it answers it?
Yes, I do.
So they have a giant fight against the Fate boss, and they just randomly appear and use some actions.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Just like all the others, so Thancred, Ishtola, Urianger, who we've all seen in the trailers, who all seem to have active roles in the main story quest, are there as well, doing the same thing.
So,
and then Alpha and Alizé just turn up.
Alizé and Alfie are just like, yeah, boy, let's go fight this Fate boss.
And do you know what's even worse about them?
Please tell me that Alphinode's dancer.
No. Alphino is still a summoner, and Alizé is still a red mage.
Oh, for God's sake, that was anticlimactic.
I know.
It's like we're always saying, I wonder what they're going to be doing. They're always such an integral part of the story, so what's going to happen? It's just like, nah, they're just standard old Alfie. There's standard old Alfie and Alizé doing what they do best.
Yeah.
Being whingy little teenagers.
It was like, wow, they've literally just appeared.
What a transformation.
I know. So back to crafting and gathering, we will find out more about the world and the lore of the first.
I'd like to know a little bit more details on the restoration of Ishgard. Yes,
but that's endgame, and they're not announcing that yet.
No, I know, but I still want to know.
Yeah. User interface.
I like this.
Yes, I like this. I think it's much nicer and much easier to look at. They are changing. They're giving us an option for changing the theme of all the menus from dark grey to light stone. Yeah,
it does look really nice though, and I actually much prefer it to the grey.
Yes.
I think it fits in with the just the Final Fantasy way, if you like.
Yeah, I do think it looks much better. Crossbow link shells have been increased from 1 to 8. If you get an enemy under 1% HP, you will now see the decimal percentage.
Yeah, they made a bit of a joke with it, didn't they, on the actual stream?
Yeah. How many people have wiped at 1%?
Now you get to wipe at 0.1%. How about that?
I would be more annoyed at wiping at 0.1% than I would be at wiping at 1%.
Yeah, because you're even closer.
Yeah.
It's just like one... You could have breathed on the enemy and they would have just fell over.
Yeah, it's like, that, like, if like 2 more skills had landed.
Yeah, it's like... Why didn't I just save that last cooldown?
Yeah. Party list has been updated. You'll be able to see HP more clearly. Or you'll be able to see people who don't have max HP more clearly. So
whereabouts is this on the thing? Because I can't find it.
It's in between the picture of a dancer on a platform and the user interface screenshot.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So on the party list information, if a person is not at full HP, they will have a little down arrow next to them.
Yeah, see, I didn't quite understand that when they actually showed the image of it, because I could clearly see HP was missing.
Yes.
Because they did it, basically, imagine you've got 3 people in your party, the top one's got like a full HP bar, the black mage underneath had like not a full HP bar, but then a little downwards arrow saying he didn't have full HP, and I'm just like, obviously, because it's not full.
Yes.
But it makes sense because of the healer thing.
Yeah.
The shield thing.
And we've got a decorating enthusiast in our free company, so he's going to enjoy the furnishing placement preview.
It should have been... I just like previews in general for furniture.
Yeah.
Like on the market board, instead of getting the tiny little picture, you actually look like... like you get try on with armour and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you a funny story about that quickly, is that Jazz was decorating his house and he spent like millions on stuff, and he bought this little, what he thought was a little keg like system that looked quite nice, like in a bar, and when he put it in his house, it was like took up the whole wall. And he's just like, yeah, that isn't what I expected it to be.
Oh, poor him.
Yeah, well, that's his fault.
Yes. Also, additional gameplay, quality of life updates, but we're going to have to wait until the patch notes.
Wait.
Patch notes, the 20 million of them that we're going to have.
Yeah, you think this is a long one?
Well, I looked back at the Stormblood patch notes, and they weren't actually that bad, because they literally, when it came to the job changes, turned around and went, go to the website. It's like, go look at all the job guides on the Lodestone.
Yeah, do you think they'll do that this time?
I hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So they then talked about the battle system changes, and this kind of produced... This was battle system and job changes was basically the rest of the live letter. So the first thing they talk about is the charged action system. So,
yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. So this is basically, if you use a skill that has the ability to hold a charge, so they use the example of shoulder tackle on Monk and Kasatsu on Ninja. There's also a dancer skill that you can have on charge. The Paladin Gap Closer, Intervene, also has a charge system in place.
Yep, I reckon all the movement ones will.
Yeah, just makes more sense. So the actions will gain charges for later use. They will continue to build until reaching a maximum limit, and you'll gain an additional charge as the recast timer cycles. Charges may be consumed whenever you want to use the action. So basically, what's going to happen is you use shoulder tackle, and the recast timer will start. Once the recast timer goes around once, it will give you a charge on shoulder tackle. It will then start the recast timer again, and just continue to do that until the until the action gains the maximum amount of charges. So in the case of shoulder tackle, it's 2, which means that you can use shoulder tackle and then immediately use shoulder tackle again.
Yeah, I can see this like being utilised in like raids and stuff when they know there's going to be a mechanic where they have to dodge left, then dodge right, and then if they've got dodge attacks, they'll just save up those charges to that point so they can easily escape stuff.
Quite possibly anything where movement's going to be helped, that will definitely be it. I just think it's going to be where if you don't use a skill at a certain time, you might lose DPS. You might lose actual raid DPS. Having it there as a secondary backup to use at a later time, that's definitely going to help. The fact that it's going to continue to recharge even outside of combat.
Yeah.
So it's going to help with ad phases, transition phases on bosses. Just that action's going to continue to charge up, so you are going to be able to use it at a later time. I think charges are going to be intricate to openers.
Yeah, I think that's it. Depending on like, obviously what are gonna have charges.
Yeah, if anything that's got potency is going to have charges, you can bet people are going to look at how it can be used in openers. So it's going to be interesting to see when people go into raids whether or not the charges reset, and if the charges do reset, are we then going to have to sit there for say 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, while everyone's charge skills get to their maximum charge?
I won't, because I'll just go Leroy Jenkins and just jump in there.
Well, yes, but you're the bane of the raiding community.
Good. That's my aim.
Yeah. So they talk a little bit about it. Basically, everything that we've just said, they just explain again as well.
Yeah.
Cast an interruption system. So when enemies use certain attacks, they can be stunned, they can be silenced. However, they've turned around and said that it was never really made clear which attacks could be, or whether or not you were successful, things like that. So what they've done is anything that can be interrupted is now highlighted on the cast bar. So the cast bar is highlighted in yellow. And then if you do use a stun, a silence, whatever it is you need to use, it then does specifically say, nice and clearly, interrupted.
Yeah, I think this is really helpful for tanks.
Yeah, and the fact that tanks and ranged DPSs will receive roll actions for this purpose means the onus is on them.
It just adds to the job. It makes a tank more of a tank, and it makes a support character more of a support character.
Yeah, it does just make sense that those are the two roles to actually use those types of things.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I think they've hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. It'll still be interesting to see if Monk still has things like one-in punch, which I'm sure does a stun or a silence.
Maybe it'd be an added thing, but I think it's just the fact that tanks and ranged get specific role actions for that. So it's not saying that others can't.
Yeah. They then talk about role actions. Just they've removed the customization of role actions, and literally each different class will get a different amount of role actions, and you'll be able to have all of them that's been given to you.
Yeah, so it's like all the different roles as such, including DPS as in melee, ranged, and casting.
Yeah. So tanks are getting 7, healers, melee DPS, and ranged DPS are getting 6, and casters are only getting 4.
Because they got all the skills with the magics.
Yeah. And plus, I think they, from the looks of it, if memory serves me right, looking at Yoshi P's Black Mage setup, Sure Cast was on there, Diversion was on there, and Swift Cast was on there.
Yeah.
So looks like they're definitely 3 of the caster DPSs. They then talk about MP and TP.
Yes, TP is kaput.
Yeah,
gone.
TP has gone the way of the dodo. Means that anything that did need TP means that it is going to be much easier for you to use them. You're going to be able to use them more freely. You're not going to have to manage resources. Main thing I'm looking forward to is AoEing as DPS again. That isn't a caster.
Yeah, because it absolutely ripped through your TP.
Yeah. 1,000 TP and it was 130 per AoE.
Yeah.
100 to 130. Completely impossible.
Even worse when you go back to the days when sprinting used all of it.
Yeah. And changes to MP as well.
Yeah, so they're going to have just a cap on it now, aren't they?
Yeah. Cap's going to be set at 10,000, and the reason for this is that spells always took a percentage of your MP to cast, so it's just going to make it much easier to see how expensive the spells actually are compared to what your MP is.
Yeah, so it's just gonna mean that you can work out, right, now I can do 4 Fire 4s with the MP I've got remaining.
Yeah. PD is still going to be a stat, and it's going to be something that makes your MP regen faster. However, unlike in Stormblood, you are not going to be able to increase your piety to increase the rate that MP regens.
It's fair enough.
Well, it's because piety is a main stat.
Yes, and main stats are, you can't up them with materia anymore, is that right?
Yes, so main attribute increase in materia is being removed. It's no longer going to be meldable to accessories. And the reason they've done this is that it's been a long-standing issue in the community, especially for tanks, about gearing up and getting specific items. And it's mainly been accessories. So tanks have been for a long time melding strength onto accessories in order to improve their DPS. Now, tank accessories are going to have Vit and strength, and the others are just going to have straight Vit.
And they said that it's not that we want to take away, because the adjustments they're making to the accessories, and I think the belt as well was one of them, is going to compensate for what you would have been able to put on melding.
Yes, so the attributes for all accessories will be revised, and the accessories are being buffed to offset the fact that they're not going to allow for melding of main stat materia.
Yeah, so the accessories are just going to be badass.
And accessories and belts are going to 2 materia slots. Over melding, you're still going to be able to get 5 on them, but with 2 materia slots, it is probably just going to help a little bit for token and savage gear.
Yeah, I mean, well, they had 1 before, didn't they?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's just more customization for your character, make him better, or her.
You say customization, it's literally going to be put crit hit in it.
Look, you never know. I've seen how some of this community glamours their characters.
The next change is something I wasn't really expecting. Changes to the pet system and pet management and usage.
Yeah, I really like this.
Yes. So, I didn't know this before, but pets only used to take 10% damage.
Yeah, I think it was abundantly clear when you, like, if you're like a summoner and you're standing there and an extreme primal did something and like nearly one-shot you, and your pet's like, yeah, what was that?
Yeah,
I didn't realise it was actually 10% though.
No, I didn't realise it. But now they're not going to be affected by enemy attacks or PC actions, which I took to mean player character.
Yeah, I think they're just saying it for PvP purposes.
Yeah, so PC actions in terms of things such as buffs, debuffs, etc. All pet actions are going to be removed from a pet hotbar, and they've been recategorised as player actions.
Yes, and this also, they mention about like your Titan Eggy and your Topaz Carbuncle, because obviously they're not going to be able to tank now because they can't get hit and blah 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 blah.
Yes.
So they're going to be doing something else with them.
Do you know what I can't wait for? I can't wait for in the first week this not to have been implemented properly and Titan Eggy still being able to tank but not take any damage.
Yeah, like they get into the Eden Savage or something like that, and it's just like, yeah, we finished it, world first. Yeah, who? Oh, what was your tank setup? Titan Eggy.
It's like,
Topaz
what tanks
car-
did you take? None.
I went in as an Arcanist, and my Topaz Carbuncle did it.
Yeah. Like, I can foresee that happening in the early extreme fights. If they do accidentally not put it in properly, I can foresee like them going in no tanks, 2 healers, and just two summoners. Like 6 DPS, 2 of which are summoners, and they just use 2 Titan Eggies, one to pick up ads and one to pick up the boss.
Yeah, but obviously, as far as I can tell, they're not going to be able to do that anyway, because can you actually specifically summon and keep a summon out now?
Yes.
You can. It's just that
yeah.
I've seen
it just means those 2 summoners would not be able to summon Bahamut or summon Phoenix.
Yeah, but why would you not want to summon Phoenix? That looks badass.
Yeah, but if you've got a tank that doesn't take damage...
Yeah, but that's what the other summon is for. Not my summon. I'm using Phoenix.
Yeah, so the pet actions are being all condensed into one, so they use the example of Crimson Cyclone, Earthen Armour, and Aerial Slash, all being condensed into the action called Eggy Assault 1.
Yeah, so it's basically like, I can't remember the name of the move you got now that puts a buff on everybody, but that's sort of the same thing. You click that and your Eggy does something. I can't remember what it's called.
Well, so my take of it is, if you press Eggy Assault 1, if you've got Ifrit out, he'll use Crimson Cyclone. If he's got Titan Eggy out, he'll use whatever the new action is instead of Earthen Armour, and if you've got Garuda out, they'll use Aerial Slash.
Yeah, I think it makes the summoner feel more like a summoner.
Yeah, they've definitely got more control over their pets in this instance.
I suppose, really, because they've condensed it, you've got less control, but it's easily applied.
Yes.
Which is better.
They then talk about some stuff that we don't really need to go into. Calculations will be adjusted and changed. The damage limit has been increased. We shouldn't be comparing old potencies to new potencies, or vice versa. So the potencies may not mean as much as what we think they do, because we don't know the current calculations.
When you look at Samurai.
Yeah. And the media embargo is lifted on May the 29th. So May the 29th, which is Wednesday, expect an absolute flood of information coming to us.
And this was much earlier than we anticipated it to be.
Yeah. So I looked on Twitter earlier, and Mr. Happy, who is a massive streamer, is having to cut stream short this weekend because he's got so much work to do before May 29th.
Yeah. Yep.
Damn them.
Damn them all.
Yeah. Couple of other bits and pieces that really don't really play into it. The party bonus will be adjusted.
Yep, so they're changing that so that now it's based on what jobs you've got in there as well, isn't it? So
yeah, so it's filling each role. I completely forgot this was a thing.
Yeah, to be honest, the only reason it's stuck in my head is because I was playing Final Fantasy the other day, and it just so happened I was on the screen that showed you, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I completely forgot it was a thing.
Easily done.
Yeah. For those people that don't know what we're talking about, depending on your party composition, you still do get a boost to certain stats based on your party composition. Completely forgot it was a thing.
But they've adjusted it anyway.
Yeah. 5.0 in later regions, the limit break gauge will fill slower, or will be adjusted.
And that's because of people were manipulating it, weren't they?
Yeah, cheesing it. Basically, speedruns were going in naked and then putting all their armor on, getting a healer to heal them, which would give them a massive advantage when it comes to limit break gauge.
Yeah, not dirty cheaters.
Yeah. I like this little change. So now if you cast a shield on someone, it will put a little bar either above their HP bar on the party list screen or inside their HP bar if they're not at full HP, showing you how much of the shield they have left.
Yeah, and this was the image I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Because, like, you look at that black mage, you're just like, yeah, I can tell you're not full HP.
Yeah. I don't think they thought about it, but now that I've thought about it and I've just had this thought, could that down arrow be in case you look at the party list and it looks like they've got full HP?
Yeah.
Because they've got a shield.
Yeah.
But they don't actually have full HP. Do you know what I mean?
I do, but at the same time, if they're going to do it like at the top, where it goes above
but if you don't have full HP, it goes inside your HP box.
Yeah, but it's yellow.
Yes, but if you're colourblind...
It'll be a different colour. They've got options for people.
Yeah, but if you're just quickly looking...
Yeah, I'll let them have it because they've done it anyway. They've obviously done it for a reason.
Now that I've thought about it, it may make it so that people look at the HP list and go, oh, everyone's topped off. And they're not. It's actually somebody's topped off, but it's a 25% shield.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. And that was all we had for the first part. That took an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It started at 10:30 eventually, and that took an hour to get to there.
Yes, and it was... Once it started, it went at a rate of knots, didn't it? And it was... Trying to keep up was quite difficult. Well, I found it quite difficult anyway.
Well, my hands definitely found it quite difficult because my notes went all over the place.
There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not saying it.
the notes that I scribbled down, I haven't even looked at my notes today. Just they could look and say absolutely anything.
I'm looking at mine now, and there is pictures of cubes, and a picture of an owl, a picture of a katana handle by the looks of things, where I was waiting for them to fix the sounds and was just doodling.
I'll tell you what I didn't like about the sounds when they kind of fixed them.
Oh, that bit.
All they actually did was deafen everyone on the stream.
Yeah, it just made this... It was the Windows sound slider constantly being replayed. It was like... Ba-ding, ba-ding, ba-ding. Oh.
And there was a screech as well at one point.
It's like me, Oisty, and Daz on... FC Mate were on Discord, and we all typed pretty much at the same time. Our ears are bleeding.
Yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience.
No, it really wasn't. Quite funny thinking back at it, but...
So that was it for the first part. So the second part came after a break. So we are gonna... I'm going to take a quick break now, just I actually need to go and get a drink. Just my mouth is absolutely dry. But we'll pick this up in... couple of minutes. It'll not sound as though we've had a break, I'll just merge them together, but I'm just going to have a 2-minute break now. So in part 2 of the live letter, they go over a lot of job details. So they show you the job trailer, which has got lots of different job actions for all the different jobs. It's so much detail that we could go through. We're not going to pull every single piece of information out because there's going to be so much information, like we say, coming out over the next few days when it comes to the media events. However, what we can do is we can discuss what they discuss, what we've seen, and basically how we feel about it. I don't think there's any point in us going into jobs that we don't really know much about.
No.
Or different pieces of information that we don't know how it then interplays with the rest of the jobs.
No, I mean, it's all right saying stuff like, oh, they said this, but not actually knowing, like, specific details of how it was opposed to how it's going to be is just going to sound awkward. Yeah. You might get things wrong. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, I'm pretty much guaranteed we're putting little job overview videos up onto YouTube. We're going to put one up for all of them. And and I'm pretty much guaranteed that all 17 of them will be incorrect within 5 days.
Yeah, probably, but we can only do our best.
Exactly. We don't get the media tour events yet.
Yet. We say yet.
We say yet. We'll probably still not get them come 6.0.
Probably not.
So, the video, they then played it again with their commentary over the top. So, we'll not go through it all, like I say, too much detail. So, what were your favourite bits of the video trailer?
Okay, so there are certain ones that really stood out to me, and what surprised me even more was the fact that they're not jobs that I play.
Right.
So I know we just said we wouldn't talk about them, but actually but watching them's different. Actually saying what they looked like isn't.
Yes.
So the first one, obviously Gunbreaker. That's my bae. Gunbreaker's going to be my go-to tank, I do believe.
Yeah, so they showed off gameplay of Gunbreaker. Now, the one thing that frustrated me when you were watching the gameplay was how quick they were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it did go quick.
It would have made more sense to me if they took their time.
Yeah, I suppose they're just still, I don't know, maybe a bit funny about giving too many details away.
Yeah. But it would just allow us to see more of the information, see the skills being used, see the animations, see the actual names of the skills when they pop up on the enemies or on yourself.
I did write some down.
Yes, you did write some of the Gunbreaker ones down.
Yeah, so should I say which ones I got?
You can do.
Right, so Rough Divide was the like lunge, tank lunge.
Yes.
Now I'm quite sure, and I probably sound like an idiot, but I'm sure Rough Divide or something along those lines was a limit break that Squall used in Final Fantasy VIII. So that's right. Quite nice, and I think there was another one in there. But so you got Rough Divide, Brutal Shell, Solid Barrel, Super Bolide, Aurora, Blasting Zone, Wicked Talon, and Keen Edge. They're the ones that I was quick enough to write down.
Did you say Brutal Shell there?
Yes, that's the second one.
Yeah, Brutal Shell. I definitely saw that because that was the one that gave you a heal.
Yes, and it looks like obviously that would be a trigger mechanic.
Yes, quite probably. And the trigger mechanics, they did say that there would be a trigger button, which you did call. But by all accounts, the trigger button will be dependent on whether you have ammo in your chamber or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if they're just going to do it as, like, you can hit the trigger and it just, I don't know, does a tiny little bit of thing to the potency. Like a tiny little bit of damage or something, just to make... So it's aesthetically pleasing. Some other... But, yeah, I hope it's R1 again, because that's what it was in Final Fantasy VIII.
I think it'll just be an actual skill.
Yeah, it probably will be, but it'd be
from your
better.
cross hotbar.
Maybe. We'll see. I'd like it the other way because it changes it a bit. Changes the run-of-the-mill stuff. But yeah, carrying on what I was talking about. So Gunbreaker I liked. Dragoons stood out to me. Mainly because of that last jump thing they did.
Yeah, so Dragoon... A lot of the Dragoon stuff is standard stuff that you've seen from Dragoon all the time. So they did Doomspike, or the second one, Sonic Thrust, which is the AoE combo. And they showed you a normal combo, starting off with Full Thrust, followed by Disembowel, followed by Chaos Thrust, and then into Wheel and Claw, Wheel and Thrust, Fang and Claw, and then followed by the normal Full Thrust, Vorpal Thrust, and whatever the last one is. I can't remember what the other one's called. So you do see that combo. You see the normal jumps such as Span Shatter Dive, Jump, Dragonfire Dive, plus Mirage Dive. Nastrond and Gear Skoggles there. But the big thing, like you've mentioned, is this giant red super portal jump.
Yeah, it's just the way that left those like weird portal things in the sky. It's just like, okay, that looks super cool.
Yeah, I really liked the Dragoon trailer. Dragoon's something I play quite a lot, so it really definitely interested me.
It just looks flashy, doesn't it? It looks good.
One of the things that they did say about Dragoon as well is that they have said that the jumps are going to be faster.
Yes, so you won't be stuck in that animation for so long.
Yeah, and then getting hit by AoEs.
Yeah, and the Dragoon might lose its title as floor tank.
Yeah, I very much doubt that.
People will still call it regardless.
Well, exactly.
It's just going to stick.
What else took your fancy?
Let me think. Dancer was quite good. When they played Dancer, I quite liked the look of that one. Looked a bit different.
Yeah. Dancer is definitely different.
Yeah, there's so much information just going around in my head now. I'm just trying to remember
it. So, for me, from the actual job trailer, the ones that stuck out were... so, Dragoon definitely stood out because of the big portally jump. Dancer jumped out to me in the trailer because I didn't quite understand what was going on, but then when they've explained it in the actual so like live letter, it did make more sense.
Yeah, because what they did is they played this this trailer and then they played it again but spoke over the top of it.
Yes, but the Dancer information came right at the end when they actually explained that Dancer has got 2 types of step. So basically you use a skill called Closed Position, which gives you the closed position buff. You also use it on a party member to give them the dance partner buff. Now, what it means is that when you execute dances, you gain the benefit of the dance, but your partner also gains the benefit of the dance.
Yeah.
And your partner is the person who, when they use weapon skills, they fill your dancer gauge.
Ah, right, okay. That's a really cool mechanic.
Yeah, it definitely gives that sort of like dance partner-esque process. And the dancers are kind of like mudras in that there's a standard one, which is 2 button inputs, and then there's a technical one, which is 4 button inputs, and obviously, depending on which one you use, it gives you access to like stronger dancers.
Yes, very good. That does sound quite interesting, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Summoner stood out because of Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix looked really cool.
Yeah. So similar to how Bahamut is, but you summon a Phoenix instead of summoning Bahamut. So in the Joe trailer, you see him summon Bahamut, and then you see him summon Phoenix afterwards.
And there was only 2 Aetherpool.
Yes,
things?
Only 2 Aetherpool on Summoner, but 3 on Scholar.
Interesting.
Yes.
Because didn't they say that like it was it's an attack now rather than a...
So that came from one of the leaks that came out from
that
the
was a
media
leak,
event.
was it?
So we have got access to all the leaked information, but we don't want to say it as gospel, and we don't want to put it out there on the podcast in case it's not true. Plus, whoever has leaked this information, if it does come back to them, they're in for a very naughty hand slap and never to be invited to these things again.
Go and stand on the naughty step.
Yeah. And the other one that stood out to me, and I'm looking at the notes, and I've put my machinist video together, and I completely forgot that this is even a thing. No more Gauze Barrel.
Gauze Barrel. I don't know enough about it. I've never played machinist.
It's the ugly thing that you put on the end of your gun.
Right, okay.
That's gone.
And that's good for just the reason that it looks horrible, or?
Yes, pretty much.
Right.
It's a redundant button that you press at the beginning of the fight, and then you do your 60-second wildfire rotation, at which point you would overheat. Your gauze barrel would come off for 10 seconds after you've overheated. It would be unusable, and then after 10 seconds you just have to put it back on. It was an extra button you had to press for a job that already had so many buttons to press.
I remember you playing it a couple of times when we were in stuff. I'm not moving.
I am so looking forward to playing Machinist.
Yeah, that's another one that stood out to me, and because of the Samus.
Machinist looks so cool. It is went from being, ooh, look, I've got a gun, I can shoot things and I can use ammo, and then for some reason my gun becomes a flamethrower, to, look, my gun becomes this giant thing that burps bad breath on people and is now a flamethrower and now shoots chains and now fires a giant drill and now does a giant spike attack and all these different things, and it just looks so cool.
And then at the end, it's just like,
summon a giant robot.
I just throw a robot at the end. That was cool, I have to say. The actual render for that robot looks amazing.
Yeah, and we joked on Discord this morning about how long before robot glamours become a thing in the cash shop, and I can well imagine the horror that summoners and scholars will be feeling that if machinists get robot glamour before they get more eggy glamours.
Robot glamours. Oh my god.
Do you know what? I'd actually pay money to get a Construct 7 glamour.
As long as you didn't start... is that the one that does the maths?
Yes.
Yeah, as long as it didn't start doing that.
Yeah, that's the one from Ridovana Lighthouse. I would pay money to get that glamour on that robot.
It's like, I'll do the attacks if you can prove to me that this is a prime number.
Yeah. And do you know what? I've just realised neither of us have said that it stood out to us. Dark Knight?
Yeah, I don't really care.
I don't care. However, bringing up a shadow version of yourself looks freaking cool.
Yeah, it does look good. I have to give them that. I mean, it was always going to be something special. Pretty much because of being the poster boy of 5.0. But that did make me go, yeah, okay, that's badass.
Yeah. And somebody pointed this out on Reddit, the two head timers, so there's the normal blood timer, the blood bar, and the grit bar, and whatever else, the blood gauge. But there's another timer there for Dark Knight as well, and it's actually a Dark Knight armor head.
Yeah.
And then when you summon your shadow self, you get a second one as well, which does look really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little touch.
Yeah, so that's the trailer, and if you really want us to hear our other thoughts on the trailer, by all means go and watch our videos, but that's not a plug, it's just that there was so much to take in the trailer. Us talking about things that we don't really know much about or haven't really piqued our interest from our trailer won't really be of benefit or interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's breaking down into all of the jobs as a separate video so you can pick and choose.
Yeah. Paladin gets a gap close as well.
Yes, that is intervene.
Yes, which is a charged action as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should have just been called charge.
Especially as they've got a skill called intervention.
Yeah, intervene. Yeah.
So they then go into the actual rebalancing of the player roles.
Yeah.
So they start off talking about job synergy. So meta comp has had an effect on the Final Fantasy XIV community.
It makes me shiver every time you say it.
Yes. For those who don't know, certain job roles were restricted because of the way that they interacted with other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So some people believe that, well, common sense dictates in certain circumstances that if you have a bard, having a dragoon not only helps the bard's DPS, but it also helps the dragoon's DPS as well.
Yeah.
And this is because a dragoon could apply the piercing debuff, which the bard could take advantage of, and the bard songs will give the dragoon plus 2% crit.
Yeah.
On top of that, you had a ninja that would give a 10% vulnerability debuff on the boss for 10 seconds. So there were certain party comps that were restricting access of certain jobs because they wanted the synergistic aspect of other jobs there instead.
Yeah, it'd be like some people would be like, no, you're not coming in if you haven't got this.
Yeah, it's like, I want to come in as a ranged DPS. Which one? Machinist. Go away and level the bard.
Yeah, pretty much. Just not nice.
So, they've attempted to address that synergistic aspect and the perception that certain jobs are essential. So, for example, in Stormblood and Heavensward, it was kind of an unwritten rule that to be effective in a raid, your team needed to have a ninja, dragoon, and bard. Lots of people ignore that because every job can clear all content. Mm-hmm. However, there was a certain part of the community that turned around and said, well, actually, we don't want you and your dirty black mage. We want a dragoon because we've got a bard and a machinist.
Yeah.
So synergy isn't going away entirely. It's just emphasised a lot less than before. And part of the way that they're doing that is that they are doing away with the slashing, blunt, and piercing resistances.
Which is funny because we were only talking about that as a joke the other day.
Yeah, well, I realised that when they announced Gunbreaker, they said it deals slashing damage.
Mm-hmm.
However, thinking back, I don't think that they said that a dancer dealt any type of damage.
No.
So I've got a feeling it may well have been coming from around about then.
Yeah, I just remember the conversation we had. You just said, well, it'd just be better if they just took all of them away.
Yes. Sorry about that, I've just dropped something on the floor. So action values will be revised, certain actions will be removed, because obviously certain actions applied those debuffs. Disembowel for Dragoon is still in there, that applied the piercing debuff, but I just think that's going to be a little bit of a higher potency attack now.
Yeah.
They did emphasise, however, when they were saying about synergy not going away, they really did emphasise that Dancer is a very synergistic job.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that Dancer might be one of these jobs that no matter... They turn around saying they don't want jobs to be essential. I've got a slight feeling Dancer is going to be one of those jobs that is going to be essential.
Yeah. I think so, but I think in general a lot of people are going to want to level that anyway. So yeah. It might not be a problem to start with, but we might run into issues later on.
The problem with everyone wanting to level Dancer, or a lot of people leveling Dancer, might be that the actual level of skill of dancers might be... So people might want dancers, but there might be a lack of actual dancers who can play the job properly.
Yeah, it was quite funny. I saw a post on Reddit that was a Simpsons scene, and it was Homer sitting in Moe's tavern with loads of like youngsters, like millennials, and what they done, they put, because Homer's looking quite sad at the bar, and they put him with a bard face, and then everyone else had the dancer symbol. And all the quote was, "Mark my words."
Well, I think that's what's going to happen with Tank.
Yeah, but as long as I'm playing Gunbreaker, I don't care.
And speaking of Tank and Gunbreaker, the next part was talking about tank roles.
Yes.
So
very interesting.
We've had a big discussion, and the community's had a big discussion about the fact that at one point Yoshi P said that they were having internal debates about balancing job tanks around there being 2 main tanks and 2 off tanks.
Which what we're going to talk about is like the fact that they've turned around and said all tanks can be main tank, all tanks can be off tank.
Which I do understand. So they
I get it.
Yeah. So the fact that all 4 jobs, including Gunbreaker, will be viable as both, and they use the rationale behind of if you go into a party finder group, a duty finder group, and you get 2 main tanks, they may not have the skills for one of them to be an off tank, or conversely, you could go in and get 2 off tanks who might struggle to perform the role of the main tank to fullest potential.
I mean, yeah, the bit I was going to quickly say was the fact that I remember when they said that, we're not going to introduce a new healer, because we need another tank to balance main tank, off tank. And
then they've done away with that.
Then they've like, oh no, they can both be off tanks and main tanks. So the healers have just had that little bit more salt rubbed into their wounds.
I don't think anyone's picked up on that, you know.
Well, I as soon as they said it, like last night we were watching it, they said, oh, they can all main tank. I said, so why didn't they add another healer then?
Yeah. I think the healers are slightly more difficult to balance than what tanks are.
They should have just said that in the first place.
So, in order for them to be completely helpful in both roles, they've ensured all tanks have actions that fill 3 different points. So they're all going to have buffs that you can apply to party members to increase the party members' defense.
Yep.
A buff designed for yourself to support the main tank. So the defensive buff that can be applied to party members, think of that as like shake it off.
Yeah.
The buff designed for off tanks to support the main tank, that to me is cover.
Yeah, like a cover system. Yeah.
Well, it's literally the cover skill from Paladin. And tanks can also use buffs to enhance their own defenses, so things such as Blackest Night from a Dark Knight.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where those 3 fill in. So if you want a frame of reference, that's kind of where they are. Shake it off, cover, and Blackest Night. And this last bullet point really did make me laugh.
Job effectiveness will vary depending on player skill.
Yeah, it's like...
It's a bit obvious, isn't it?
I didn't quite understand why they had to like physically put that into the PowerPoint.
I've got an idea why they put that in, and I think it's going to be because Gunbreaker is going to be a difficult class to master.
Quite possibly. And they did talk about that later on. If actually when you do say that,
yeah, because it's not as simple as the other tanks. Like
no, so they then talk about tank stances. So you've got Sword and Shield Oath, Defiance and Deliverance, and Grit with Dark Side, or just
no grit.
Or just no grit. Yeah, you never have grit and no dark side. You just have no grit. They are removing Sword Oath, Deliverance, and
nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I don't imagine they'll remove dark side, but just in case.
For God's sake, Dark Knight, why do you have to break the mold?
Yeah, I don't think they'll remove dark side because it kind of fits in with some of the skills. Do you know what really makes me laugh when it says when you read the tooltips for the Dark Knight skills?
What's that?
So it says it's like can only be used if succumbing to the dark side.
Oh yeah.
It's like that doesn't specifically tell me I can only use this if I'm using dark side.
No, reword that please.
Yeah, it's like yes, common sense would dictate can only be used if succumbing to a dark side. Right, so I can only use it if I've got dark side on, but it'd be much simpler if they turned around and said, can only be used if using dark side.
In conjunction with dark side.
Much easier, but less effective in its wordage.
Yeah, I mean, I like that word.
I noticed, I learned that. I was actually going to say in your video to use a different word.
Wordage.
So offensive stances are going away, so you only have to toggle tank stance on or off. And it's basically, if your main tank have it on. If you're off tank, have it off.
As simple as that.
Yes. Unless just there's not going to be any damage reduction anymore.
No, that's gone.
Yeah. So damage dealt and received reduction, so you don't have to have damage reduction. However, the damage you deal isn't going to be reduced, but the damage you receive isn't going to be reduced either.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, max HP increase has been removed. Max HP increase has been removed. However, the Gunbreaker is running around with 117k HP.
Well, yeah, but I think that's just because they're level 80.
117,000 HP.
Yeah, if you think my warrior now is nearly on... God, blimey. Nearly on 90.
Yeah, right. So if you've got tank stance on, all of your attacks will have enmity generation attached to them. So enmity generation combos specifically are being removed. Skill rotations won't change between main tank and off tank, so you're not going to have just specific enmity based combos anymore. All your attacks are going to generate enmity, which is why if you're the main tank, you want to have tank stance turned on.
Yes, otherwise you're going to lose it.
Yeah. Adjustments will be made to emphasize the reduced damage received aspect of tanks. So there will be some kind of background battlecraft formula to reduce the amount of damage a main tank would take.
Yeah.
They're also adding the tank mastery trait.
Yeah.
So it looks as though this is going to be received at level 1. For all the different classes. So, whereas in your tank stance, the damage received reduction is no longer going to be there. Now, if you have this trait, all damage received will be reduced by 20%.
Yeah, so it's just their way of balancing it, making sure you're a tank.
Yeah, it just means that even if you're the off tank, this is going to apply to you.
Yeah.
And bonuses to maximum HP and damage dealt based on certain attributes will also be increased. So the damage dealt reduction is going, and you're actually going to have damage dealt increase instead. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a flat 20% damage reduction, as well as maximum HP increased as well.
I just wonder if they're just doing that flat reduction because of Protect.
Quite possibly. Which we'll come on to in a couple of moments. So you're our tank master, so there's a little recap of what to do as a tank.
Oh yeah, generate enmity, turn tank stance on. 2. You should apply buff defense to yourself when needed. 3. Apply defense buff to your party members. 4. You can help out your main tank by turning off tank stance when being off tank. Was that first paladin? Sword Oath is gone.
Yeah, so they then start talking about some of the other changes to the specific jobs. So Sword Oath is gone. Riot Sword will have an additional buff to not have a cast time.
Yeah, so they use that and then you don't have a cast time.
So is that just going to be Riot Blade, am I right in assuming?
I'm not sure, because they specifically said Riot Sword. Yeah, I mean, is that a translation issue?
Well, they also called the Warriors' offensive stance Destroyer.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that is Riot Blade, which is your MP regeneration.
Regen 1.
But it didn't have a cast time.
No, we don't quite understand. I'm sure it'll be a lot more plain and simple when the media embargo is lifted. Sheltron's also changed, so it's now no longer just one hit.
Yes, thank God.
A time duration effect now.
It was so easily misused.
Yes.
It's so easy to misuse. I've done it loads of times when you're like anticipating the tank buster, and it's just like they just do a normal hit, and it's like, right, that's gone.
Yeah, you've used it halfway. You've used it just before you know a tank buster's coming, and they've just managed to slip in an auto attack just before they do the tank buster.
It happens so many times.
Yeah. So Warrior, obviously, Deliverance is gone. They did say that the playing style of warrior hasn't changed. They are going to get another buff after you've used Fell Cleave.
Yes, and then that activates another attack that makes it even stronger.
Yeah. So Fella Cleave.
Fella Cleave.
There's also a defense buff that the warrior can give to another party member.
Yeah, that in the video there's like a little yellow shield that they put on.
Yeah. Which I've got a feeling is obviously the defense buff that they talk about.
Yeah.
The party defense buff. Dark Knight's getting an AOA shield. Not surprising when they talk about the things that an off tank can do.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that'll be some kind of spreadable Blackest Night.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah. Dark Knight wise, no more Dark Arts.
No, and I think people are going to be quite happy with that.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, people always whinged about, you have to they should have called it Dark Arts class.
Well, it was the fact that you use Dark Arts, use the skill, use Dark Arts, use the skill, use Dark Arts, so on and so forth. So less of that. They then talk about Gunbreaker. They showed off some of the skills, the combos. It was so quick, it was really hard to get a feel for what they were kind of doing.
Yeah.
However, they did say look forward to the explanation videos, which will be posted once the embargo lifts. So I think it's going to be one of these jobs that we are going to need lots of information in order to properly wrap our heads around.
Yeah, well, it's just like every ability's like attack is going to have like 2 variants. You have the normal one and the charged one, like with the different ammos. So it's just going to be when to use something, and I'm looking forward to it though, because Gunbreaker.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely going to be something that I'm really interested in terms of it being a usable job. I think it's just going to be something that we just need a little bit more detail on.
Yeah, I honestly think it's going to be the most complicated tank.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be complicated, I think. So we'll just have to wait and see if it's as complicated as what we think.
I kind of want it to be, but that's me. Oh dear.
So we then moved on to healers.
Yes, so healers they've changed quite a lot with the healers.
Yeah, so first things first, Protect is gone.
Yes, Kaput gone, the way of the dodo, he's gone.
No more waiting for Protect at the beginning of each and every single dungeon.
So I'm going to have to redo my video.
I feel you were going to have to redo your video anyway.
Oh, I knew that before I started it, but it's just the fact that the first thing, like one of the first things I say in there is like, wait for your Protect.
Yes. They then talk about the new actions being added to each of the healers' repertoire, because what they've turned around and said is that they've balanced the healers around a purely healing standpoint.
Yeah, so they used the White Mage, didn't they, as an example?
Well, they've used all of them, so they've given all of the different jobs specific actions.
That I hadn't scrolled down far enough.
Yeah, which address gaps in their toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
So White Mage, you get an instant heal to mitigate cast times, because White Mages always need cast times. Everything's a cast time with them.
Yeah,
restricts their mobility, restricts their ability to think on the fly. Instant casts are going to help them. Scholars are going to get some more direct heals, and their barrier magics are going to be adjusted as well.
Yeah, I don't think Scholar is going to be as, because you can be really lazy with the Scholar, and
yes,
and I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I don't think you're going to be able to. You're going to be more active. You're not just going to let the pets just get on with it.
Yeah. And they did say that basically White Mage, White Mage Lilies are going to be different in that they're going to regen over time. And once you get to a Black Lily, you're going to be able to use a powerful offensive spell. Scholar, obviously the pet actions are going on your own bar. You can summon Seraph, which is basically going to be a Scholar Bahamut.
Yeah, basically it's just going to take over it's going to be Bahamut for a Scholar. But it does look good.
Yes, it does. And no matter which fairy you have out, Selene or Eos, you're going to have completely identical spells, so you just pick the one you want.
Yeah, the one that looks best.
Yeah.
I made a joke saying that because one of the White Mage abilities is they grow wings.
Yes.
I was like, is the Scholar just going to summon a White Mage with the wings in?
Astrologian stances are going to be adjusted. I'm not too sure what they do there. Card effects are all going to be DPS based now, but you're still going to have to decide which one to pass the cards onto. So spear onto a bard, arrow onto a black mage, that kind of thing. Draw and use are going to have independent cooldown, so you're not going to have to wait till you use the card before you can start redrawing again.
Do you think that we spoke about it earlier about dancers probably going to be a main staple in each meta comp? Do you also feel like I feel like Astrologian is going to be as well because of the DPS buffs?
It could be. It could well be. Just Astro hasn't really been seen in prog groups. So it hasn't really been seen in groups where you're progging through the raids. It's normally White Mage for the healing capabilities along with Scholar for the shields. And Astro has then taken the place of White Mage for meta kills because...
Spire.
Yeah, Spire. For spreadable balance.
Yeah.
They've also said that Astrologian's core gameplay won't really change. The level 80 skill looks cool. It looks as though you get dual stances for a little bit. So you get both the barrier and the healing. And the other side of it is that all offensive spells for healers will be looked into.
They should have just called that one where they get both stances Insomniac.
It's got a really weird name according to the leaks.
Yeah, it's probably the Japanese equivalent of Insomniac.
So that's the tanks and healers. We're now going to go on to the DPS. One of the things I've seen on Reddit is people saying that this fact that the concepts are going to be more traditional and mechanics are going to be revised accordingly is going to make jobs less different and going to be make jobs more homogenous and the same.
Yeah, I don't know what they mean by that, to be honest. I don't really get it.
I don't. Just to me, if they're going to do, so I think what people think is that design concepts of mechanics and bosses and danger is going to be more traditional and revised accordingly, as opposed to the actual concepts and mechanics of the job. So I think it's actually going to increase the identity of the jobs as opposed to decrease the identity.
I just, at first, when they said it, I thought that it just meant that they were going to go back and look at past games and start adding things from them.
I think that it's more Monk is going to be more Monk. Dragoon's going to be more Dragoon. Ninja's going to have more Ninja. Machinist, which we've seen, is completely moving away from the gun and being a lot more about machines and gadgets.
Yeah.
Summoner you're going to feel more like a summoner.
Yeah, which that was how it should be, really.
Yeah. So they call out Monk, Dragoon, Ninja, Samurai, Black Mage, and Red Mage as the playstyles of these jobs will remain relatively unchanged. Not be significant changes or additions to the mechanics.
Yeah.
So Monk, due to player feedback, they've said that they've added Grease Lightning 4, which from the leaks we know is happening, and from the Monk bit
trailer
of the video, it does look as though Grease Lightning 4 is through a specific skill, which the leak is saying is Fists of Wind.
Which makes sense because they turn green, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And there is a spell, there's an ability there that also increases your stacks, so it's going to be much easier to get to those at that 4th level.
Oh, it's at the charge, like where he charges up, sort of thing.
Yeah. They did say something which is really weird, just they've said it really early, in that Monk's skill speed at higher item levels is going to make the job kind of wonky.
Right, okay.
So about 5.4. So that's going to be the last Savage Raid tier. It's going to make the job a little bit wonky.
Oh.
Which is weird, the fact that they've called that early.
I don't know, that sounds like they kind of got backed into a corner with Monk of how it needs to be, and they can't do anything to address that until later.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Monk players then handle gear.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That does sound a bit weird.
Yeah. So, Samurai, they announced that Harakiri has been removed to simplify resource management, meaning that it's preferable to use Midare Setsugeka instead.
Yeah, which you can use twice in a row.
Yeah, it did show that it could be used twice in a row, which was weird. There's also lots of leaks talking about like really high potency attacks for Samurai. However,
yeah,
that high potency attack, especially combined with what they say early in the live letter,
doesn't mean that it's just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, so the league is saying that Samurai can get as high as 1700 potency on an attack. So that, at the moment, sounds insane and with a massive boost on there. Mm-hmm. However, the caveat is...
Yeah, with these reworks of the the systems in place, might not actually be as good as you think it is.
Yeah. Ninja, the threat management abilities have been removed, so Shadewalker and Smokescreen. They're going to have high-level mudras that require special conditions to use.
Yeah.
So that looks to be like the Shadow Clone, so that's meant to be the bunching ability.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering what the ability where they use like multiple
the like ice shuriken things.
Yeah. Which look really cool. Tenchi Jin.
Yeah.
It looked from the video that the Kenki cost of that has been removed.
I suppose just because Ninki.
Yeah. So that looks to be something that you only need it off cooldown to use, which means Bakakava and Hellfog Medium are going to be able to be used much more regularly, as well as this bunching ability, because the way that Ninki's gained is that you gain a certain amount per auto attack, and if you've got 2 auto attacks or 2 attacks, it's going to increase the amount of Ninki that you generate quite quickly.
Yes.
They then showed you Black Mage.
I didn't see this.
So Black Mage is getting a skill called Umbral Soul. What this does is it gives you 1 Umbral Heart and grants Umbral Ice. It doesn't have a cost, it doesn't need a target, and it's just a standard recast. So what this basically means is that it will instantly refresh your Umbral Ice duration, which means that during your downtime, you can keep using it during your different pulls during your downtime to keep Enochian up, while also getting Umbral Hearts as well.
I suppose that's good because it means that they can get a bit more maneuverability.
It's not even maneuverability, it's just the fact that one of the issues was when you were going from pull to pull, if you were close, you've only got 13 seconds or 15 seconds now on Umbral Ice or Astral Fire. If you had if you were only 3 or 4 seconds away, you were never going to get to that next pull in order to...
So you were just losing DPS and having to start up again.
Yeah. You could use Convert, which would just keep swapping you from Astral Fire to Umbral Ice.
Yeah.
But this gives you an Umbral Heart as well, which, assume they work the same, is going to be much more helpful because it means that the MP cost for Flare is going to be reduced. The MP cost for Fire spells is naturally going to be reduced as well for Umbral Hearts. So much, much better when it comes to actually using those Umbral Hearts.
Right, okay. That's good.
Just talking about Umbral Ice and Astral Fire. Going from Astral Fire to Umbral Ice now costs 0 MP.
Ooh.
They've also got an instant cast spell for when you're using the Polyglot stacks. So Polyglot was if Enochian lasted for 30 seconds, you got a Polyglot stack. You could use it on a spell called Foul, which did massive damage. Xenoglossy is the instant version of Foul, which you can use a Polyglot stack for as well, because you now get 2 stacks of Polyglot.
2 stacks of Polyglots.
They also have a spell called Despair.
Deals fire damage with a potency of 380.
Yes. So, much like Flare, it's going to be however much MP you've got, that's how much it's going to cost.
I just saw that. MP costs 10,000.
Yeah. It's not going to be 10,000, so if you've got 2,700
be 2,700.
Yeah. Grants Astral Fire 3, removes Umbral Ice, can only be executed while under the effect of both Enochian and Astral Fire. So I don't understand why it says removes Umbral Ice, because you can't use it while in Umbral Ice.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Unlike Flare, which you can use while in Umbral Ice, and it actually benefits from the lowered cast time while in Umbral Ice as well. So it'll be interesting to see if the Umbral Heart's condition of reducing the cost of Flare by a third will also affect Despair as well. Red Mage, Displacement gets a paired ability that does not knock you back.
Okey-doke.
No more jumping off platforms.
Immolation.
Lakshmi. Red Mage combo finisher. So after Holy or Flare, you get another instant cast spell to be comboed. So if you use the Holy, you used Scorch in the video that was shown. Scorch gives 8 of each mana. So I'm guessing Flare, there'll be an alternative that you can use as well.
Yeah.
An aspected AoE magic.
Yes, finally they needed something other than scatter.
Yeah, so that'll be different. They do have a new skill called Reprise, which is an attack with a potency of 100. Action upgrade to Enchanted Reprise if both black and white mana are 10 or more. So, you won't have read this. What is one thing they could possibly do to Red Mage mana in between pulls that will make you get slightly annoyed?
Have it drop off?
Yes, I forgot you've watched my video, haven't you?
I thought I was going to sound clever then.
Yeah, so Red Mage mana is going to reduce.
So if you're not
quite sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, that's yeah, well, I don't know. It's not too bad.
We'll have to see what the levels are.
Yeah.
They then talk about Bard, Machinist, and Summoner. So Machinist is practically a brand new job. They basically wanted to focus more on the design philosophy of a machinist using various machinery such as chains, drills, robots, etc., as opposed to it using a gun.
Using a gun.
Yeah. There's 2 gauges now for machinists, so there's the battery gauge and the heat gauge.
Yep.
Battery gauge, it looks to fill when you're using certain machinist abilities, and then you use the full battery gauge to summon the robot, which is supposedly called the Queen's Turret. Don't know if that's going to be true or not. And also, it doesn't look like you want to overheat, because the overheat mechanic does seem to have been changed slightly. Your shots are always heated now. Wildfire looks like it only lasts 8 seconds as opposed to 10. So it does look as though Machinist has changed considerably.
It needed to.
It did. I'm really looking forward to Machinist now.
Yeah. No, I'm actually quite happy for you because I know you did love your Machinist.
Summoner, all summons are now instants. So no more cast times on summons. Just they were quite long cast times as well.
They were. If you didn't have your Swift cast ready.
The way I originally heard the leaked information about Summoner made it sound as though it was going to be kind of like Bard, in that you would rotate through your summons and then be able to cast.
Yeah, I got stuck on that as well. I was thinking, so is it going to be... That's what I said earlier, because I was like, are you going to just do the attacks and it will just cycle through your summons or something?
No, it sounds as though you use summons in certain ways now. I'm sure it will probably play slightly like Bard, but they didn't explain it the same way. But basically, you summon Bahamut, then you summon Phoenix, and cause massive damage.
Yeah, well, damage is what Summoner does very well.
Yes. Bard is getting adjustments to make it easier to play and reduce the party synergy impact of the presence of Bard. So, they've got rid of Peterson resistance down. Don't need Dragoon anymore. Bard songs no longer give 2% crit.
Yeah.
Which is what they did do. They do have what looks to be an AoE dot, which isn't spreading their current dots, it's actually applying an AoE dot.
Okay.
And there's now a soul voice gauge, which looks to be whenever you get a crit as a bard, you will get access to a special skill. So Pitch Perfect or Bloodletter would reset, or you'd get a haste buff.
Yeah.
It looks as though every time this happens, the soul voice gauge starts filling up. And once you get a certain amount, so 50 by the looks of it, you can then use a special attack.
Oh, cool. That sounds fun.
They then talk about Dancer. So we did talk about it a little before. So you use a buff called Close Position. This gives you a dance partner. You then use either Standard or Technical Step. Standard is a 2-button press, and basically there's 4 colours. There's red, yellow, green, blue. And basically you press the order that they appear in. They do have the little combo outlines to show you which one you need to. It's an undefined duration buff, so there's no duration on it. Think the Dragoon tether, but without a timer or the tether or the distance. Once the dance entered, you can only execute dance step actions. It does have a short cooldown, however. There is 2 gauges. One's got a timer for a dance buff. And the other one is where you do some of your special actions from.
Yeah.
Once you've done your dance, you can then use a specific ability. The one that they showed was Saber Dance, which increases critical hit rate and direct hit rate by 30%. Lasts for 15 seconds. And also, if you have Dance Partner, they also receive the effects of Saber Dance as well.
Awesome.
They then showed off some of the other attacks which you can use using the fan gauge, as well as what looks to be peacock feathers. I'm sure they're 4-fold feathers, according to Reddit. So that'll be interesting to see how those all work. There's lots of different information on there. Once the spirit gauge, which is what the fan gauge is called, has accumulated 50, you can unlock access to higher utility dancers.
So better dances at 50 gauge.
Yeah. And that was it. They then went and told us a little bit more details about things such as E3 and the next live letter. The next live letter is on June the 14th. So only a couple of weeks out from Shadowbringers.
Oh, close.
Yeah. I really hope they don't have the same technical issues as they have this time, because this one starts at 10 p.m. for us. Or 11 p.m. Just we're going to be in it's British summertime, so it'll be 11 p.m.
11 p.m.
Yeah, it's a Friday. Might not be too bad. Depends if I'm at work on the Saturday.
Yeah.
But that was the live letter. It's been a long show. It's not a longer show looking at the time, but it feels like it's been a long show. But lots of information. which I'm sure people will be able to digest. Lots more information coming out on Wednesday, not from ourselves, sadly, but there will be lots of information from people like Mioni, Worked Again, Mr. Happy, Larry Czar, Drac Gamestein, Ethis, just they were all at the media events.
Jealous.
MTQ as
So
well.
jealous.
I know. But they'll have lots of information coming out. But we will be back in a couple of weeks with our thoughts and feelings around the media event and what came out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, Mr. Marfy, just let them know where they can find you.
Just head to Twitter and search for at Mr_Marfy for me. I keep my social media profiles to a very minimum.
Yep, and on Twitter, just search for at OistyTFFXIV. It's OISTYTFFXIV. And you'll be able to find me on there.
Yes, so thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye.